Cut all of it. That weed patch makes the whole street look filthy.
Please, not that corner. My son planted those flowers.
You asked me to mow grass, not destroy someone's memory. Her son is gone. She needs to stop using him as an excuse.
That corner is the only place I still feel close to him.
Then nobody touches it until I know the truth.
The cruelest people see grief as an inconvenience, but the kindest people understand that some memories should be protected, not cleared away. Ruth was not refusing to clean her yard because she was lazy. She was protecting one wild corner beside the fence where her late son Daniel had planted flowers before he died. Her neighbor Howard wanted every inch cut down because the patch ruined the perfect view from his house. But when Mason the lawn guy found a small metal box hidden under the flowers, the entire argument changed. Ruth stood in the yard with both hands pressed to her chest as Mason wiped dirt from the lid. Daniel's name was scratched across the metal, along with a tiny drawing of a butterfly. Howard told Mason not to open it, saying it was private junk and had nothing to do with the lawn. But Ruth whispered that Daniel had used that box to keep seed packets, notes, and little things he found outside. She nodded for Mason to open it. Inside were old wildflower seeds, a folded photograph, and a letter sealed in a plastic bag. Ruth's hands shook so badly that Mason offered to read it for her, but she said no. She needed to hear her son's words in her own voice. The letter began with, "Mom, if this corner ever gets too wild, do not let anyone make you feel ashamed of it." Ruth started crying before she finished the first line. Daniel had written that the flower patch helped him breathe when he came home feeling broken. He wrote that the world expected every yard, every person, and every life to look neat from the outside. But some things survived better when they were allowed to grow differently. He asked her to keep the corner alive if she could. Not because he wanted her trapped in sadness, but because he wanted her to have a place where grief could turn into something living. The neighbors who had stepped outside to watch went silent. Howard looked uncomfortable, but he still tried to argue that a letter did not change property standards. Mason looked at him and asked why he cared so much about one corner that was not on his land. That was when Ruth finally said what she had been too polite to say for months. Howard had offered to buy a strip of her side yard the year before, so he could widen his driveway and build a new privacy wall. Ruth refused because that strip included Daniel's flowers. After that, the complaints started. Howard called the patch a hazard, then an eyesore, then a weed problem. He had not hired Mason to help Ruth. He had hired him to erase the one part of the yard that stood between him and what he wanted. Howard's face turned red. He said the flowers were worthless. Ruth looked at the patch, then at the letter in her hands, and said they were worth more than anything he could build there. Mason stood up, closed the mower handle, and said he would clean the yard, but he would not cut Daniel's corner. Howard threatened not to pay him. Mason told him good, because Ruth was the homeowner and she was the only person he would listen to now. Then Mason went back to work. He cut the rest of the lawn clean and low. He trimmed the side